Good evening, folks. It's 8 o'clock in East Africa. My name is Robert Kaushinga, and I'm speaking to you from Kampala in Uganda. This is African Speak. It's a spaces I do where we discuss the big issues that affect either individual countries, regions, or the whole African continent. And today, with me, Rashid Abdi, a man who understands the region of Eastern Africa, or better known as the Greater Horn of Africa, like no other person. Rashid, how are you?
I am very well, Robert, and thank you for the warm introduction. And hello, colleagues. I can see some interesting people have joined us, and probably they should be elevated to the speakership role. I can see Murithi there. I can
I,
see Adan Waria as well.
so what I'm going to do is let me immediately give them a speaker's invite because you're not going to be with me long enough. So I have to make the most of the time I have with you and then stay with the guys who can stay with me long enough. So
Excellent.
quietly persuade them to join while I send them the invite. So let me look
Please,
for.
please, Murithi and Adan Wario Cabello, please come to the speakership chair.
Okay, I'm gonna send them an invite now. So let me start with Moridi. So uh, I, I've gotten so that's double. So is that BMJ?
Murithi Mutiga, he is one of the listeners.
Okay. So Moriti, if you could just send me a speaker request because I'm just trying to get hold of you, and then I might also have to follow you. Actually, that's another thing I need to do, perhaps. So so we'll do this. So just send me their addresses as a DM, and then I'll have that worked out. So please, Rashid, do that for me.
I will do that. Thank you very much, Chair.
I even see, and I would like to welcome my good friend. I haven't spoken to him in a very long time, but we struck up a good relationship. Ambassador Fred Ngoga. I don't know if you've seen him. Do you know Fred?
Yes,
Rashid?
I know Ambassador Fred, and I bumped into him at a hotel this afternoon.
Okay, good man. Uh, very, very good man. Very accomplished diplomat. I don't even know. In fact, when you next run into him, ask him why he's not the one standing to be chairman of the African Union. We need young people. You guys are giving us a Biden problem. Huh?
Ambassador Fred, umesikia hiyo maneno sasa, si ndio?
He has he Fred, you've had, so we don't need to say very much more. So so let's start. So I have you for 45 minutes. So I'm going to make the most of my 45 minutes, Rashid. And I want to start by asking you to paint for me a picture. What is the problem that many of us who are not been tuned into what's the goings on in the Horn of Africa that we now need to pay attention to? Just tell us what the nature of the problem is, the latest development.
Yes, I think tensions have been building up in the Horn of Africa for some time now, since Ethiopia announced that it has reached a deal with Somaliland to gain
So,
access to
Rashid,
the Red Sea. Yes, sir.
before we go very far, there are people on this call who probably may not understand the dynamic of Somaliland and Somalia.
Correct.
Please just give a quick explanation
Yes.
on that. Yeah.
Somaliland is a territory in the north. It borders the Gulf of Aden and overlooks the Red Sea. It is a territory that historically was British, a colony of Britain. It became independent in 1960 and then merged with Somalia days later to create the Somali Union with the Italian Somalia, so creating the state of Somalia. In 1991, Somaliland reverted back to its former status as an independent state, That independence has not been internationally recognized. It is disputed.
Yes.
Somaliland has been without international recognition for the last 30 years. But I think there is tremendous respect for the fact that it is one of the most stable and one of the most democratic Somali territories in the Horn of Africa.
Okay, great. Um, so you were explaining the latest development in that area. So just explain it to us.
Yes, Ethiopia, which is a massive country in the Horn, the most populous, of 130 million, strong. Also, one of
When
the
did they get there?
their population has always been very high, and it has been
I mean, the
growing very
last time
fast.
I remember, there were 90 million.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is one of the most fastest rising populations in Africa.
Right.
And I think in 50 years, it will be probably one of the most populous countries in the world. So it
Yeah.
is a massive country. It is landlocked. And Ethiopian policymakers and strategists have for a long time been saying that if we look into the future, 50 years from now, we will be having trouble relying only on the port of Djibouti. So we need uh, to have access to more ports. And that explains why they have been looking to the port of Berbera in Somaliland, but also
Okay.
to the port of Lamu. I think where the controversy lies is the fact that Prime Minister Abiy added a military component to this sea access. He said, we will also build a naval outpost on the Red
Wow.
Sea coast. And this is an area which is very close to Bab el Mandeb, one of the most strategic choke points in the whole world. Roughly 70%, 17 or 12%, between 12 to 17% of world's commercial traffic passes through this narrow
So,
strait.
so
So it is very
this is
strategic.
what you would call the mouth of the Red Sea.
Absolutely, this is the mouth of the Red Sea.
Uh-huh.
It is also an area where there are foreign militaries, and historically has been an area which major rising powers have competed over. So the fact that I think Ethiopia wanted to have a military outpost on a narrow stretch of territory which overlooks a strategic waterway, I think spooked many regional countries, especially Egypt. And I think Egypt's race now to position its military in Somalia and also to escalate military pressure stems from the fact that Egypt has always sought to have dominance over the Red Sea and felt that if Ethiopia gains access to the Red Sea, then there is a potential that basically is a direct national security threat
Okay.
to the Suez Canal.
Well, so there are two dimensions here involving Egypt and Ethiopia. There is the, in quotes, the small matter of the White Nile, which has a massive dam.
Absolutely,
And
and I think the dam issue has been on and off for the last over 12 years. Talks have been underway. Eventually, I think Egypt in December 2023 basically said that the talks have ended in stalemate, and in January they pulled out. Astonishingly, the pullout of Egypt also coincided with the MOU that was signed between Somaliland and Ethiopia, which was interpreted by many as Cairo spotting now an opportunity to escalate pressure on Ethiopia, and
okay,
that
so
is actually what happened.
so there are two strategic interests here, and I'll come back to them. So there is the question of the Nile and the question of the Suez Canal and that whole the Red Sea issue. But just explain to us, when we talk in strategic terms about the Greater Horn of Africa, What are the countries that we are looking at?
The Greater Horn of Africa, as you suggested, encompasses a large geography. It is the first large landmass in
Mm-hmm.
the Horn of Africa, bordering the Western Indian Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Also overlooking, as I said, two major waterways, the Gulf of Aden, but
Mm-hmm.
also the Red Sea. So it is one of the most strategic corners of the African continent, and historically, um, foreign powers, middle but also big powers, have always coveted presence, but also footprint along these major waterways,
Yes.
and so historically also Egypt, because of its Nile imperative, has always also wanted to exert some influence in the Horn of Africa. So you have a number of what we call aspiring or anchor states.
Mm-hmm.
These would be a country with large militaries like Ethiopia,
Mm-hmm.
like Uganda,
Mm-hmm.
but also countries with enormous influence like Kenya. So those three countries have largely played a big role in the Horn and were also instrumental